Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. So as you guys can see by the title and the thumbnail of this video, I thought I would do another book related video. I've really been enjoying watching everyone put up like book related things lately, and I have always grown up as a reader. You guys will know if you've been on my channel for a while that like back in my old vlogs I used to like always be getting heaps of books out from the library, and I would always go to the Lions book sale every year when I lived in Hawke's Bay, and I just love books. I always have ever since I was a really young age. I thought I would go through with you guys and show you guys all of the unread books that I have on my bookshelf. I haven't actually counted how many I have that are unread, that are my personal ones, but I will pop the number on the screen because I do obviously share my bookshelves with my husband, and my husband tends to read a lot of fantasy and horror, and he is into more like classics, and then in terms of like Christian stuff he's more into like history and apologetics and all that kind of stuff, whereas I'm not so much into that. Yeah, we share our bookshelves, so some of them are his. I do have a lot of unread books. I have been buying a lot of books lately as well. I do have quite a few that I have read. I did do a video where I took you guys along as I organized my bookshelves, because I have organized my bookshelves by genre, which makes it so much easier when I feel in a certain mood. And I have also read some books this year that I used to own but don't anymore because I didn't really love them. I talked about that in my mid-year reading wrap-up. But yeah, without further ado, let's jump into this video and I'll show you guys all of the unread books that I have. So I thought I would start off this video by just showing you guys the books that I am currently reading before we move on to all of the unread ones on my shelf. So I am just about to start The Final Gambit by Jennifer Lynn Barnes. This is the third and final book in the Inheritance Games trilogy. Also, I keep them on my bedside table because I like to read before bed sometimes. Then for my Christian non-fiction, I am currently reading Enjoying God by R.C. Sproul. I don't have too much left. I have like the tiniest little bit here. And then for my non-fiction book, I started Love Stories by Trent Dalton. I'm really enjoying this so far. Like, it's such a good read. Again, I'm not very far through that. I kind of just read like 2 to 3 of those per night. That is the current reading set up. So let's move on to the bookshelves. This bookshelf here has all of our like classics and non-fiction and like cookbooks on it. So I've kind of done the books like facing the other way where the spines aren't on the outside for the ones that I've read. So as you guys can see, I haven't really read a lot, to be honest. Start with this book up here because I haven't read this one. This one is The Long Road from a Broken Heart by Jeremy Scott. This is one of my only books that is actually signed because Dad and I went to, he did like a talk a few years ago. And then on the classics shelf, this is kind of more of like Phil's stuff, but I feel like probably a few of these classics I will end up reading. Pan across so that you guys can see what ones we've got. I do still want to get a few more classics, but yeah, some of them I will read, some of them I won't read. And then moving down to the non-fiction, these 2 accounting books here are Phil's, so I will not be reading them. This is a Lush one, which I've kind of had a flick through but haven't like fully read through. We have this Loves Me Not, How to Keep Relationships Safe by Leslie Elliott. I don't know how good it's gonna be, but I might just read it, and if I feel like I don't agree with the advice, I'll get rid of it. Then we have Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus. We have She's on the Money by Victoria Devine. Eat That Frog by Brian Tracy. That's like a procrastination one. Girl Boss by Sophie Amoruso. This Jordan Peterson one is Phil's. Same with this Plateau one, so I probably won't be reading those. We have Bringing Down the House by Ben Mesrich. I think that's how you pronounce it. Matthew Walker, Why We Sleep. This Crisis of Islam one by Bernard Lewis is Phil's one, so again I won't be reading that. Prophet, which is by Khalil Gibran. Again, I'll read it, and if I don't agree with what it says, I'll get rid of it. I think it's like a poetry one. I have the little 1001 Little Beauty Miracles by Esme Floyd, and then this Love Is Me Buying You This book I bought for Phil, so obviously won't be reading that one because that is for Phil. And then moving down, we have memoirs. So I've read a couple of these, or like biography type things, but I haven't read all of them. So I have this Ed Sheeran one. This is my newest one. I just bought this yesterday on Marketplace. This is I'm Glad My Mum Died by Jeanette McCurdy. I have Marcus Butler's Hello Life. I have the Britney Spears book by Steve Dennis. I have The Girl Who Fell from the Sky by Emma Carey. Miracle in the Andes by Nando Parado. Madeline by Kate McCann. A Work in Progress by Connor Franta. Lion by Saru Brearley. The Stephen King one is Phil's, so I probably won't read that. Then I have Everything I Know About Love by Dolly Alderton, and then that's it for the memoirs. I do want to get a few more as well. I have a few more on my list that I want to get, but as of right now, that is how that is looking. And then moving down, we have the cookbooks. The only book I've actually fully read through here is Zoe Suggs' Quarterly Invited book, but cookbooks, it's kind of weird if you just sit and read straight through them. Yeah, currently have a bit of work to do on this bookshelf. Okay, I apologize if you guys can hear the heater in the background. It's just quite cold. But this bookshelf here is all of our fantasy and thriller shelf. So again, this is a mix of Phil and I's books, so I'll run through them with you. This style book here is mostly just like pictures, but I haven't like fully had a look through that. That's by Elizabeth Walker. I have Love Tanya by Tanya Burr. Ask Elizabeth by Elizabeth Berkley. I have just bought this Guild book series off of Marketplace, and we've ran out of room on our fantasy shelf, so as of right now they're kind of just sitting up the top there. So moving down to this first shelf here, this is all mostly like Phil's shelf. Only ones I probably will read out of this shelf are Good Omens, potentially Lord of the Rings, I don't know. I'm more of a Harry Potter girly than a Lord of the Rings girly, and then the others I don't know if I will read. So coming down to this second shelf, so I pretty much have not read a lot of these. Again, some of these are Phil's ones and some of them are mine. The first two books in the Beautiful Creatures series, I have the first book in the Ravens cycle. I have the first 3 books in the Red Queen series. The Hobbit I've read most of, but I don't actually think I ever finished it, so I probably will end up finishing that at some point. I have The Night Circus by Erin Morgenstein. We have Twin Crowns up there. I have the first 8 books in the Vampire Diaries series, and then I have the last 4 books in the Harry Potter series that I have not read yet. Alright, moving on to the third shelf. So I have the first book and the third book in the Chronicles of Narnia series. I've read the second book, so that's why that's the other way around. Queen of Hearts by Colleen Oakes. That's like a retelling of the villain from Alice in Wonderland. I have the Christopher Robin book, which is like the movie novel. I have the first book in the Cruel Prince trilogy, the first book in the Throne of Glass series, the first book in the Fallen series, and then The Strange and Beautiful Sorrows of Ava Lavender by Leslie Walton. Moving down, I have the novella book in the Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children series, which is Tales of the Peculiar, and then I have the last 3 books. Then I have the entire Mortal Instruments and Infernal Devices series. I never read this like series in high school. The only book I have in the Twilight series that I've not read is Midnight Sun, because that was kind of a new release. Okay, moving down to the fourth shelf here. So this is a mix of fantasy and kind of like paranormal fiction, and then psychological thriller and thriller. So we'll go through it. Second book in the Akatar series. I do want to get the others, but as of right now, that's kind of all I've got. Dry and the Force of Nature by Jane Harper. I have Find Me by J.S. Munro. That is a thriller, same with these 2 up here. And then I have The Lying Game by Sarah Shepard, who is also the author of Pretty Little Liars. This again is a thriller as well. So jumping back to fantasy, I don't think I've fully read through this. This is the illustrated guide from the Twilight Saga, which is written by Stephanie Meyer. This kind of just goes a little bit more in depth, so I think maybe after Midnight Sun, after I finish that and I'm like back in that world, I might read this. I have The Host by Stephanie Meyer, and then I have the Hush Hush series, and then I have the Left-Handed Booksellers of London, which seems to be by Nyx. I think that is Phil's book, but I might end up reading that as well. So that is officially the last fantasy book. These books here are psychological thriller. This one here that I have read is a paranormal fiction. So I have Out of the Ice by Anne Turner, My Dark Vanessa by Kate Elizabeth Russell, Normal People by Sally Rooney, and 13 Reasons Why by Jay Asher. And now we move on to all of the thrillers. So the rest of these books are thrillers. The Edens series, which is this series here, is technically contemporary romance, I think, and a little bit of thriller, but my romance shelf is full, so I have just put them in my thriller section. Those are written by Devney Perry. And I have Gone Girl in Dark Places by Gillian Flynn. I have the Good Girl's Guide to Murder trilogy. I have One of Us Is Next, Two Can Keep a Secret, and The Cousins by Karen M. McManus. A Guest List by Lucy Foley, and Counterfeit by Kristen Chen. And then right down at the bottom here, the last shelf again is all thriller. So I have 24 Hours by Greg Iles, Then She Was Gone by Lisa Jules, Dear Amy by Helen Callahan, Playing Dead by Julia Hebelin, The Husband's Secret, The Last Anniversary, and 9 Perfect Strangers by Leanne Moriarty. I have Tell No One by Harlan Coben, The Lovely Bones by Alice Sebold, Fashion Victim by Sam Baker, and then up the top here I do also keep Layla by Colleen Hoover, but I have lent that out to a friend, so that book I also haven't read. Then moving down we have The Brutal Telling by Louise Penny, The Woman in Cabin 10 by Ruth Ware, The Girl on the Train by Paula Hawkins, The Woman in the Window by AJ Finn, Breathless by Amy McCullough, which is a new one that I found in the op shop. Amy McCullough is the editor of Zoe Sugg. I have The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo series by I think it's Brian Larson, The Perfect Wife and the Girl Before by JP Delaney, Party by Robin Harding, and then The Maidens and the Silent Patient by Alex Michaelides. So yeah, I do again have a lot of work to do on this shelf here. I definitely want to get through some of my thrillers because my thrillers is probably the category that has been touched the least. And then I thought I would do my little Christian shelf. Obviously these I will end up like rereading as well. So we obviously have all of our Bibles. I've never actually fully read through the Bible. So we have Experiencing God by Henry T. Blackaby and Claude V. King. Parables by John MacArthur. This one Phil bought, but I think I might still read it as well. We have Quiet Times for Couples by Wright, Gentle and Lowly by Ortland, The Practice of Godliness by Bridges, The Passion of Jesus Christ by John Piper. We have If I Were God I'd Make Myself Clearer by John Dixon. Phil and I are just about to start reading that together. The 5 Love Languages, The Meaning of Marriage by Timothy Keller, Fit to Be Tied by Hybels, When Sinners Say I Do by Harvey. We have 2 of the Preparing for Marriage God's Way books because one is mine and one is Phil's. Halfway through that, but we've never actually finished it. The Screwtape Letters, The Pilgrim's Regress. We also have Mere Christianity by C.S. Lewis, which Phil is currently reading as of right now, so I haven't read that one either. And then we have Pilgrim's Progress here. And then the last ones on the Christian shelf, 2 that I will read are the 2 by Francine Rivers. So we have The Masterpiece and Redeeming Love. And then last but not least, we have this bookshelf here. So we kind of have like a mix of like romance and then sci-fi and dystopian, general fiction, mystery, and then horror, which are all Phil's. Up here we have The Luxe Life by Fleur de Force, Insta Style by Tessa, Lauren Conrad's Beauty Book, Tanya Burr's Tanya's Christmas, and In Love with Paris by Anne Catherine Weber. And then this here is all romance. So in general, this bookshelf is probably the most filled out one. So we have The Boy Next Door by Josie Lloyd and Emily Rees, Something Borrowed by Martina Riley, The Fine Print by Lauren Asher, How to Be Single by Liz Taccilio, I don't know how to pronounce that. We have A Thousand Boy Kisses by Tilly Cole, and then Me Before You, and then After You by Jojo Moyes. And then the last stack up top we have Legally Blonde by Amanda Brown, Lucy in the Sky by Paige Toon, and then The Love Hypothesis by Ellie Hazelwood. So moving down, we have Better Than Chocolate by Sheila Roberts, My Life Next Door by Fitzpatrick, Book Lovers by Jennifer Kaufman and Karen Mack. I really like the cover of this, it's really cute. Love at First Spite by Anna E. Collins, The Cheat Sheet by Sarah Adams, Eleanor Oliphant is Completely Fine by Gail Honeyman. I have Confess, Without Merit, and Ugly Love by Colleen Hoover. I have Ricochet by Krista and Becca Ritchie, which is the second book in the Addicted to You / Calloway sister series. I have Daisy Hates by Jessa Hastings, which is the second book in the Magnolia Parks series, which I do want to get the last 2 books of as well, but as of right now I've only got the second one. I have The No-Show, The Road Trip, and The Flat Share by Beth O'Leary. I have Things We Never Got Over and Things We Hide from the Light, which are both written by Lucy Score. This is the Knock 'Em Out series, and they do have one more book that is due to drop, I think, next month as well. We have The Perks of Being a Wallflower by Stephen Chbosky. This I've read like half of, but I've never finished it, and I'm finding it difficult to read because it's written as like a diary, so I do want to try and get through that, but we'll see how we go. And then I have One True Loves and The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo, both written by Taylor Jenkins Reid. And then moving down, so up top we have Second First Impressions by Sally Thorne, Loveless by Alice Oseman. I'll do these in the Nicholas Sparks lot. We have Archer's Voice by Mia Sheridan, Icebreaker by Hannah Grace, and then People We Meet on Vacation, Book Lovers, and Beach Read by Emily Henry. And then I have book 2, book 3, and Tyler's Story, which is kind of like book 4 from the Dimily series by Estelle Marsgame. So there is Did I Mention I Need You, Did I Mention I Miss You, and Just Don't Mention It. Then I have a whole heap of Nicholas Sparks books. So I have See Me, 2 for 2, The Last Song, Dear John, Safe Haven, The Choice, A Walk to Remember, The Wedding, The Rescue, The Notebook, Message in a Bottle, and The Guardian. If you can hear Phil in the background, he's just getting some food, so don't worry about him. This one here, which is Trading Christmas by Debbie McComber. This is a book with 3 short stories in it, and they're all like festive ones, and I've read 2 out of the 3, so I want to continue reading this at Christmas time and get this finished. And then I have a whole heap of books by Sophie Kinsella. Most of them I have read, but I have Finding Audrey, Christmas Shopaholic, which again I want to get to at Christmas time, Shopaholic to the Rescue, which is a new one, Mini Shopaholic, and then Shopaholic Ties the Knot. So they're obviously part of the Shopaholic series. And then I also have My Not So Perfect Life and The Undomestic Goddess. And then I have 2 John Green books that I've not read, which is Let It Snow by John Green, Maureen Johnson, and Lauren Miracle. Again, this is a Christmas one, and I think it's 3 short stories that all interconnect, so I want to get to that at Christmas time. And then I have Turtles All the Way Down as well. And that's pretty much it for romance, because the last romance books are here, and they're ones that I have read. So I have read a lot of romance. It is one of my favorite genres to read. And then moving down into the sci-fi / dystopian, we've put them together because it's a lot easier than trying to have them separate. So we have Zoo by James Patterson. Then we have all of the books here in the I Am Number 4 series. So we have Generation 1, I Am Number 4, The Power of 6, The Rise of 9, The Fall of 5, and United as One by Pittacus Law. We also don't have all of these, so we're trying to get the ones that we're missing. Then I have the first 2 books in the Delirium series by Lauren Oliver. There is one more book called Requiem, but I am struggling to find it that match these covers. So when I find that, I will get that one as well. Then I have A Deadly Education by Naomi Novik. This is the first book in the Scholarmance trilogy, which I do want to get the other ones as well. I have the first book in the Shadow Me series by Tahara Murphy. Mortal Engines series, which I did buy for Phil, but I think I will read at some point, by Philip Reeve. And then I have the last 2 books in the Loop trilogy by Ben Oliver. Moving down, we continue the dystopian / sci-fi, and we have The Martian by Andy Weir. We have Gone by Michael Grant. If I like this book, I probably will get the last books in the series. I don't actually know how many there are. There might be 3 or there might be 4. I'm not quite sure. Oh, there you go, at least 6. Then we have The Swarm by Frank, I don't know how to pronounce his last name, but it's here. Then we have the 2 books in the Ready Player One. I think it's duology. Then we have the June series, which I don't know if I want to read or not. I'm still undecided. That is by Frank Herbert. And those are the last books that we have in the sci-fi and dystopian. And then we have all of the general fiction, which kind of just flows down into that. I've actually read one more of these too, actually, now that I think about it. General fiction, we don't really have too many of these, but I have Bunny by Mona Awad, Trinkets by Kirsten Smith, The Sun Is Also a Star by Nicola Yoon. I've also read Everything by this author, but I didn't love it, so if I don't love this, I will get rid of it. We have Just Between Friends by Rosie Nixon. This is a new one that I thrifted. What Would Mary Berry Do by Claire Sandy. Adrift by Tammy Oldham Ashcroft. This is also released as Red Sky in the Morning, I think. Before I Die by Jenny Downham. We have the first 2 books in the Devil Wears Prada trilogy, I think. So The Devil Wears Prada and then Chasing Harry Winston by Lauren Weisberger. Again, if I like the series, I will get the last book. We have In Her Shoes and Best Friends Forever by Jennifer Weiner. Then we have The Carrie Diaries and Sex and the City by Candace Bushnell. We have My Sister's Keeper by Jodi Picoult. New Girl by Paige Harbison, and Me and Earl and the Dying Girl by Jessie Andrews. So that is all for general fiction. That's actually another category that I haven't really read a lot of. Last but not least, we have the horrors and the mysteries. So all of the horrors are Phil's books. I will not read them. I don't really do horror. In terms of mysteries, we have Before I Fall by Lauren Oliver, Where the Crawdads Sing by Delia Owens, Book Thief, and then The Descendants by Kai Hart Hemmings. I don't know how you pronounce that. So again, haven't really got too many mysteries and haven't really read a lot, so I do want to complete this. So there we go, guys. Those are all of the unread books that I have on my bookshelf. So I have quite a lot, and I know my collection is going to continue growing as I buy more books and as I read more things. I am constantly buying books. I have so many on my list that I still really want to get. But yeah, I really hope you guys enjoyed coming along. If you did, please make sure to give this video a big thumbs up and subscribe to my channel if you have not already. Please make sure to turn on the notifications and check out my social media. It's always linked down below in the description box. Let me know if there are any other book related videos that you guys would like to see. I am thinking I'm going to do a reading vlog. Yeah, let me know if you guys have read any of the books that I haven't read. Let me know your thoughts down below. Obviously no spoilers as well. And I think that's everything. So I shall see you guys in my next video. Bye!